Good Sunday morning. I'm Carly Barnett. It is 7 o'clock, and here's what we're working on right now. We're following a developing story, a deadly shooting in North Miami Beach. This morning, we hear from a neighbor who says he heard the whole thing. And a vigil grows in Northwest Miami-Dade for a 16-year-old shot Friday. The sad update on his condition as police search for the shooter. And a home in Deerfield Beach goes up in flames. How many firefighters it took to get this massive fire out, and the latest on the investigation.
This is CBS4 News This Morning.
7 o'clock on Sunday, January 19th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Carly Barnett. First this morning, let's send it over to meteorologist Jennifer Correa for a look at how we can spend our Sunday fun day. Jennifer, good morning.
Good morning, Carly. Well, we can spend it outside because finally the breeze is lighter today. Oh, thank goodness. So light wind, but now the flow's out of the south, so we're going to warm things up. Today will be warmer. Live view out of the Keys, Cam and Key West. A little bit of clouds out there. But
Jennifer, thank you. We begin this morning with a developing story. This is out of North Miami Beach, where police are investigating a deadly shooting. And this morning, we hear from neighbors who heard the whole thing. CBS4's Ty Russell spoke with them, and he has the latest from the scene.
Oh my God! CBS4 This Morning.
New this morning, police are investigating another shooting, this in Opa-locka. Miami-Dade Fire Rescue says this happened just after 10 last night at a home on Fisherman Street. That's right near the Opa-locka Tri-Rail station. They did take one person to the hospital as a trauma alert. Opa-locka police currently investigating. This morning, they have not released any information about the victim or possible suspects. We have new details this morning about yet another shooting. Someone shot a teenager Friday in Northwest Miami-Dade. Police say, unfortunately, they do not expect him to survive. Stuffed animals, balloons, written messages are being left near the scene of the shooting of 16-year-old Master Johnson Jr. He's known by his middle name, Knowlton. He was shot near Northwest 64th Street and 20th Avenue. Police say they don't know who shot him or why. There is a $3,000 reward for any information. We're also learning some more about a story that we brought you as breaking news yesterday. A Bay Harbor Islands police officer is recovering today after a crash involving a man who did not stop for another officer trying to pull him over. Well, police say the driver ran over a stop sign before hitting the officer's SUV at 97th Street and West Bay Harbor Drive. This was just after 1:30 yesterday morning. The officer was taken to the hospital. The driver was arrested and charged with fleeing from a police officer, driving under the influence, and some other charges. A Deerfield Beach home goes up in flames. Broward Sheriff's Fire Rescue sent us this video of the abandoned structure consumed by fire. They say they arrived to the home at Northwest 2nd Way just before 6 last night, and it took about 30 firefighters to take down the fire. No word on a cause, but the state fire marshal will be investigating. Good news there, no one was hurt. Turning now to the upcoming impeachment trial of President Donald Trump. It is set to get started Tuesday, but this morning the president's new legal team and impeachment managers are previewing the case. CBS4's Nicole Killian is traveling with the president in West Palm Beach.
President Trump spent part of the day at his golf club while his CBS News West Palm Beach.
Turning now to campaign 2020, the vice president's nephew makes a stop in Miami to meet with young voters. John Pence is a Trump campaign senior advisor. The campaign says his stop is meant to mobilize voters and get them to the polls in November for one simple reason.
Florida is a key state for 2020, and obviously it's now home to President Trump. So being here in Florida, talking about the tremendous economic record of success.
John Pence says this is part of the campaign's grassroots efforts to expand the president's reach across our area. And for more on politics here in South Florida, be sure to join us for Facing South Florida with Jim DeFede. That's on next at 8:30. We have new video this morning out of Puerto Rico, and it shows a warehouse full of supplies and drinking water in the city of Ponce, just sitting there untouched. It led the head of Island's Emergency Management Office to be fired. Puerto Rico's governor fired Carlos Avecito yesterday. Governor Wanda Vazquez says it is unforgivable supplies are still inside. Some of them have reportedly been there since 2017 when Hurricane Maria hit. She has ordered an immediate investigation. Still ahead on CBS4 this Sunday morning, SpaceX wants to put people in space from here in Florida, and they will be testing a critical system today after things did not go according to plan yesterday, why they had to push back the launch. But first, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle get their wish, details on their royal exit and what they have to pay to make it. Welcome back. This morning, the royal family has issued what's being called a seismic announcement about the future of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. A statement from Buckingham Palace details a much more limited role for the couple, even stripping them of their royal titles. But as CBS4's Francis Wang shows us, the Queen issued a separate, more supportive message.
In a heartfelt statement from the Queen on Saturday, CBS4 this morning.
The changes will go into effect by spring and will be up for review in a year. Meghan and little Archie are already in Canada, and Harry is expected to join them soon. Now in news across America, thousands of people across the country joined forces and took to the streets to participate in the 4th annual Women's March. Two groups in New York City rallied together for change. The Women's March began in January 2017 as a protest to the inauguration of President Trump. Over 1 million people participated back in 2017, making it the largest single-day protest in American history. And women also took to the streets in the nation's capital. They held up signs calling for change and reform, specifically on the issues of climate change and abortion rights. This year's march comes at the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, which granted all women the right to vote. Some of the people traveling to those marches were among the thousands impacted by winter weather all across the country. All flights in and out of Chicago's O'Hare Airport had to be canceled last night.
There's a lot of things going on. Aircraft are potentially delayed, canceled. We have passengers we're dealing with, and then just trying to keep the conditions good.
Well, if you think it might be easier to drive, think again. Snow caused more than 200 crashes in Minnesota, and a pileup in Pennsylvania shut down roads. And the State Patrol in Iowa tweeted shocking video of a car nearly slamming into a stranded driver being helped by a state trooper. Wow, amazingly, no one was hurt. That's good news. Happening today, SpaceX is trying to launch its Falcon 9 Crew Dragon for its final test after weather delays. What a name, huh? It was set to launch from the Kennedy Space Center yesterday, but rough waves and high winds in the Atlantic kept that from happening because the rockets land on barges in the water. So that launch has been rescheduled for today, sometime between 8 and 1 this afternoon. The test will show the spacecraft's ability to separate from the rocket in case of an emergency. Well, also, Jennifer is keeping an eye on the skies, but more in our atmosphere, not all the way up in space.
No, I wish, though.
So what's going on in our stratosphere for our Sunday, Jennifer?
Yes, back here at home, we have a lighter wind day.
Finally, right?
That makes sense. So it is not windy whatsoever, just a little bit of a breeze this morning along the coast, but definitely you'll notice it is lighter wind out of the south, and it's going to help to warm things up, Carly. So,
well, no surprise there. It had to come at some point.
It did, and right before this strong front. So first, let's start off with what it looks like out there at the Windjammer Resort camera view. And Lauderdale by the Sea, you can see that the waves are not as rough there on the surf and through midweek.
4s on the board for Wednesday, Jennifer. Wow. 7:19 now. With the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday tomorrow, the United Way of Miami-Dade is doing its part to give back. At the YWCA in Miami, over 100 volunteers spent the day beautifying the education center. Volunteers painted walls, built furniture, and helped revitalize the 96-year-old community building.
Giving back, civic engagement is so important, and we can all give, we can all serve, as Dr. King taught us all.
United Way members tell us this project is just one of the 95 happening throughout Miami-Dade in honor of the civil rights leader. And ahead of the holiday, the Miami Heat partnered up with several organizations for a luncheon to kick off a weekend of service to honor Dr. King. One of its guest speakers was a part of history. CBS4 photojournalist Rafael Murciano was there. Powerful way to start our Sunday. Still ahead on CBS4 this Sunday morning, we introduce you to an amazing South Florida 13-year-old. You will see and hear how Emma is inspiring her teammates, her community, and beyond. The lasting legacy that she's creating as she fights for her life. Up next. Welcome back. This morning, a powerful story that will tug at your heartstrings. A 13-year-old South Florida cheerleader who is battling brain cancer is getting worldwide support. As Emma continues to fight for her life, her parents say they're amazed at how she's inspired everyone around her. From the moment she stepped on the mat, Emma Sorensen's cheerleading coach says she's brought a special spirit to the team.
On top of her skills being so good, she was always the best leader on her team.
She was lively, fun, active, sassy, good student, great friend.
But in August 2018, everything changed. A seizure at the dinner table led to a shocking diagnosis.
Never did we think it would be probably the worst case scenario, which was a stage 4 glioblastoma, which is incurable.
Emma had a brain tumor, only in middle school, but she was determined to fight hard.
When we told her she had cancer and the severity of her cancer, she was like, okay. And we said, do you understand what we're saying? Do you have any questions? She's like, yeah, I have cancer, but what do you want me to do? Fall on the floor crying? She said, we'll figure it out. Her exact words at 12 years old.
When she got diagnosed, she still kept coming to the gym, still working hard. It taught not only me, but the rest of the athletes in this gym that you continue to fight every day and you push hard. And no matter what obstacles are in your way, you just continue to push and push and push.
The cheerleading captain, who had always been cheering on others, has needed her team to rally around her.
Our biggest source of help, whether it be emotional support, monetary support, whatever the case may be, is her cheer village.
And that village was so much bigger than they thought, receiving letters from Australia and this inspiring video from the Miami Dolphins cheerleaders.
Keep pushing through. We love you so much, and you are just constantly inspiring us.
They knew their daughter could be the loudest cheerleader in the room, but they had no idea her voice reached so far. Just recently, Emma had to go into hospice care. But her spirit, her father says, has inspired all of them.
The bad in this world is very loud. It's kind of in your face. You see it constantly. There's a heck of a lot more good in this world than there is bad. And by that, too, I mean, it's quiet. There's no noise. It's people doing things through acts of kindness.
Well, her team at Cheer Florida formed one of the largest teams there for the St. Jude Walk, raising $10,000 for Emma and other children with cancer. A family friend has set up a GoFundMe account for medical expenses. If you'd like to contribute, we have a link to that on our website, CBSMiami.com. We have another check of your Sunday morning headlines and your forecast up next. And it's a new way to get the homeless healthy without the risk of losing their medication. The groundbreaking program that's changing lives. And later, forget flowers, why one couple made an interesting choice about what to hold while walking down the aisle.
This is CBS4 News This Morning.
Good Sunday morning. I'm Carly Barnett. The time is 7:30, and here's what we're working on right now. We're following a developing story, a deadly shooting in North Miami Beach. This morning, we hear from a neighbor who says he heard the whole thing. And this holiday weekend kicks off a busy few weeks here in South Florida, and troopers want to make sure you and they stay safe. And sleepy Miami shores, not so sleepy anymore. People waking up to the delicious smells of home cooking. We'll take you there in this morning's Taste of the Town. But before we make you too hungry, first this morning, let's send it over to meteorologist Jennifer Correa for a look at how we can spend our Sunday. Jennifer, good morning.
Good morning, Carly. Well, I'm going to start off with taking a look back at South Florida's highs in the low 80s.
Jennifer, thank you. Developing this morning, North Miami Beach police are working to learn who shot and killed a man last night. Loved ones were emotional as police spent the night investigating, collecting samples from the hands of several people. Police say the man was shot around 5:30 along Northeast 174th Street near 3rd Avenue. One neighbor says he heard the gunshots, then someone yelling for help.
I'm curious, and I tried to like this, see if any car coming. You know, I don't see no car coming, no nothing. I see another young guy run the sidewalk, yelling, cry. Maybe that his brother, I don't know.
As of this morning, officers have not released the victim's name or age. They're also not saying what led up to the shooting. Happening right now, local law enforcement agencies are reminding drivers across South Florida to stay safe and put down their phones this long holiday weekend. Between the holiday and the Super Bowl coming up, we can expect to see a lot more cars and drivers, and officials are reminding them not to forget the rules of the road. With more drivers on the road this holiday weekend and for the upcoming Super Bowl, the Broward Sheriff's Office and Florida Highway Patrol are urging drivers to be alert.
Our jobs are always at risk, especially with the traffic stops.
One way to stay safe, they say, is by remembering the move over law.
Let the drivers know to please move over, to pay more attention on the road, to not test and drive. Think about us. We're human beings too.
Because while we drive on the roads, there are others who work on them. By law, if an emergency or service vehicle is on the side of the road, the driver needs to move over a lane. If for whatever reason you can't get over, you need to slow down to 20 miles per hour less than the speed limit.
She's being cited for the move over law.
Last week, Trooper Andy Ong just started back at work 2 years after he was hit and run over by a car while doing his job.
All these incident responders, all these first responders, these law enforcement officers, fire rescue personnel, DOT, road rangers, these people want to go home to their families at the end of the day.
Also equally dangerous, distracted drivers. Texting and driving is illegal now in Florida. These responders say they hope people will do their part behind the wheel to protect those who protect the community. And for violating the move over law, you do face a fine. In Broward, it is $165, in Dade, $179, as well as 3 points on your license, which could result in license suspension. We have a look now at some of the other stories that are making headlines this Sunday morning. Police say they do not expect the teenager shot Friday in Northwest Miami-Dade to survive. This morning, there is a memorial near the scene of the shooting of 16-year-old Master Johnson Jr., known by his middle name, Knowlton. He was shot near Northwest 64th Street and 20th Avenue. Police are offering a $3,000 reward for any information. And a Deerfield Beach house goes up in flames. Broward Sheriff's Fire Rescue sent us this video of the abandoned structure consumed by fire. They say they arrived to the home on Northwest 2nd Way just before 6 last evening. It took about 30 firefighters to take down the fire. No one was hurt. And President Trump's legal team has submitted its formal answer to the articles of impeachment, calling them a dangerous attack on the rights of the American people to freely choose the president. And constitutionally invalid, they add. Former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi is one of several lawyers on the president's team for the trial, which could start on Tuesday. On the Health Watch this morning, for people who don't have a home, there's a lot to worry about. But this morning, thanks to a program sponsored by the University of Miami, those who are homeless don't have to worry about their medication being lost or stolen. As CBS4's Francis Wang reports, it's called Idea Exchange, and it provides a safe place to pick up prescriptions.
So here we have...
Broken Arrow comes here to pick up a supply of his life-saving medicine. CBS4 this morning.
So a little more background information about the Idea Exchange program. IDEA stands for Infection Disease Elimination Act. Their goal is to reduce the spread of HIV, hepatitis C, and other blood-borne diseases. And still ahead on CBS4 this Sunday morning, a touching tribute for a Florida homeless veteran. How dozens of people found out about his funeral of a man some feared would be forgotten. But first,
I'm Lisa Petrella at Sim's Gastro Bar here in Miami Shores with Carlos, and we're talking about a revitalization of Miami Shores. More restaurants, more fun, right, Carlos?
Yes.
It's Taste of the Town, and boy, it looks delicious. That story coming up on CBS4 News.
Welcome back. It is time now for a taste of the town. The people who call Miami Shores home think of their village as a safe and happy place to live. But many of them say the downtown area lacked restaurants where they could enjoy good food and good friends. But recently that has changed. CBS4's Lisa Petrillo shows us how.
CBS4 News.
Amaranthine Bistro is located at 9801 Northeast 2nd Avenue, and Sin's Gastro Bar is just up the street at 9835 Northeast 2nd Avenue in downtown Miami Shores. So you can just enjoy all of them. You can go to one for lunch, one for dinner.
It looks so good.
And if we do want to enjoy brunch on our Sunday, we can finally do it without the wind
outside,
blowing napkins around.
It'll be warm, but hopefully, you know, you sit under the shade or under an umbrella. But finally, yeah, you won't have to hold on to your napkins, and you know, it's not that windy. So, Carly, we're going to start off with the currents. Let's talk about that wind speed. It is much lighter out there. In fact, in Homestead Marathon, the wind speed's only at 3 miles per hour. What out of the week?
Jennifer, thank you. This morning, a touching tribute for a homeless Florida veteran. Dozens of people came out to remember John Meade Jr. in Jacksonville. John sat on a bench in St. Augustine every day for 10 years. He spoke with everyone, but no one knew much about him. And when he passed away, police officers spent weeks learning more. And when they learned John was an Army veteran, they wanted to give him a proper burial.
I really do wish that he could be here to see the turnout today for him. I really do. And I think there's a way that he knows how it turned out today.
Well, all of those people who came out to Jacksonville's National Cemetery were total strangers. We thank John for his service. We also want to say thank you for your service to another hero among us. Still ahead, we will meet a Vietnam veteran, Alan Miller. He shares his story that is making people stand up and cheer. But first, the Florida Panthers are on a 4-game winning streak. Mike Cunio has that and more next in sports. Every week, in partnership with the Florida Panthers, we put the spotlight on a hero among us, men or women who have gone beyond the call of duty for our country. And this morning, CBS4's Maribel Rodriguez introduces us to U.S. Navy Vietnam veteran, Lieutenant Commander Alan Miller.
Dr. Miller enlisted in 1967 and served until 1976. CBS 4 News.
CBS 4 this Sunday morning. We'll be right back. But first, here are your winning lottery numbers. Good luck. Well, finally this morning, forget the flowers. One bride in Pennsylvania and all of her bridesmaids walked down the aisle with dogs who are up for adoption. Heather Pavlich tied the knot last night. She says she hopes the 5 dogs find as much love as she has found in her marriage.
I just knew if I ever got married, I wanted them to be here and spread the word that there's no need for flowers. I'm excited. I'm just so excited to be here.
They call it puppy love. Each table at the reception also had a basket for donations. Heather says she hopes the idea can spread beyond just their wedding. What a neat idea and so sweet. I hope they find forever homes. We still have another half hour of news ahead. Stay with us. CBS 4 this Sunday morning. We'll be right back.